live from the team room. It's the Point Man Podcast with your host, John Imperial. And finally, I have Phil Pelletier, my co-host, or I don't know, maybe as I might call him, assistant to the host. What's going on over there today, bud?
Oh, we're doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
Hanging in?
Hanging in there.
What are you drinking today?
Today, got a new brew from, I think it's your favorite brewery, Pipe Dreams Brewery. Always a good treat when you bring something back up from dairy on London Dairy on here.
Yeah.
Today, this is a double India Pale Ale, but the point of it would be it's got a good pineapple finish to it. Pretty smooth. It's a good one. I mean, I think we're both into those tropical citrusy IPAs, and this one definitely sits right down in there, and it's a good start.
Yeah,
it's a good finish.
It's a pretty good beer and brewery itself. It's right down the street in Londonderry from where I grew up, and I kind of like their atmosphere once you go there. It's a West Coast style brewery. They come out with like West Coast themed beers.
Yeah.
And there, once you walk into the brewery, you have surfboards, it's all reggae music, it's like lively.
Right, so they're creating a whole theme over there.
Exactly.
Just, it's more than just walking in and grabbing a 4-pack of beer. It's going in there and having a different experience and being able to, they want people to go there, buy beer, but they want people to go there, stay and drink beer.
Yeah, exactly.
I think is the other thing.
Exactly. And the best thing about it is I've never seen one, but when you go in there, they have like an honor board, or I don't know what they actually call it, but I can go in there and buy a drink for somebody who was in law enforcement or somebody who was a Marine. Actually, the two of the 4 owners, I think there's 4, but 2 of them are former Marines, or whatever you guys want to be called. Ex-Marines, former Marines.
Yeah, it's always that
Marines
thing. Yeah, there's
no
such thing as an ex-Marine. Saying former Marine, I always feel he's such a tongue twister. So it's like, yeah, I was a Marine. Like I don't know what you want to call it.
Yeah, exactly. But they have, so you can go in there, and I don't care if it's first responders, military, whatever it is, but they have, you can go in there and buy drinks for teachers. You can either hey, if I want to go in there and I want to buy Phil a drink, I can put your name on the board.
Right. So you can be specific or be like next teacher who walks in the door.
Yeah, exactly.
Their beer's on me.
As long as they show some form of like identification or whatever it is, it's pretty good. And, I think it's like a free, like, I don't know if it's a 12-ounce glass or whatever it is, but I think that's pretty neat because I've never seen that before.
Right.
And, they're both, obviously they're
That's
very,
pretty nice. It's just passing on good karma,
Yeah.
which I think sounds cheesy, but so much of that is definitely needed more today. And it's been that low-key trying to do that, just be a better person for, I think, a longer time than most people realize.
Yeah, exactly. And, it just, like you said, the good comrades passing that all along, and it's just a great atmosphere to go there. So the reason why we started this podcast, the reason why I came up with the idea, and Phil has decided to co-host this with me, and I don't know if it's a sinking ship already, but we're
co-host might be a strong word.
yeah.
I'll be here sometimes.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But so the reason why we decided to do this is number one, I'm still a police officer in New Hampshire. Phil's a former police officer, former machine gunner in the Marine Corps, and and with everything going on in the world today with regards to policing, and more specifically, obviously, America, I decided to kind of bridge the gap between the first responder and military community to the overall general public. Obviously, we are, the police of the public of the police of the public, everybody. It's
right.
But I kind of wanted to bridge that gap as best I could, and I had done a podcast in 2000, I think I was like 18, with Steve Gould, who was the host of Things Police See firsthand.
Yeah, I remember you doing it. Yeah,
and I thought it was pretty interesting, really cool to do that. And it was, people always say I have a voice for radio, but definitely a face for one.
Yeah, definitely a face for radio.
But I thought of this way, kind of to bridge that gap, and as best I could. So the reason why I chose the name of the podcast is obviously, we're both on the SWAT team together, and for me, I have, as a sniper, medic, injury operator, all that sort of stuff. But
too many badges.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Too many hats.
But Point Man is the one that I enjoy the most out of it.
Yeah.
And I always feel like, when being point or like, hey, you get that page or that call out or whatever it is. And I always feel like that being the point man, there's always a sense of like clarity that comes with it. As weird as that sounds, it's you kind of shut out everything else you have going on in the world. And that is your main focus.
Right. It's like an extreme tunnel vision where like you are noticing everything and at the same time, like you are only looking straight ahead.
Literally.
And everything is just so clear in those moments where you're like, you took in everything that, passed by you in your peripheral, except all you're looking for is like that walk up to the door.
Right.
And that's it. You're looking down the sights and waiting for that door to open.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. And I don't care if whatever you have going on in your own life, you listen to some podcast and then right before they begin, they're like, all right, phone's on airplane.
Phone's on silent. Apparently it's going to have to be a new thing.
Oh, yeah. Phone's on airplane mode. All right, we're locked in.
On our makeshift door, it's going to be in studio. Check your phones. Check everything.
Yeah.
Watch is off. Maybe watch is just out.
Yeah, right. Mine's going to probably go off in a minute. So I think everything I have is on, it's on silent mode right now.
Double, triple check.
Exactly. So yeah, getting back to it. So basically for me, like being point man, I don't care what you have that's going on in your life at that point in time. From the moment that the tone goes off, essentially, for lack of a better term, but the page goes out, hey, you're needed, and you get the briefing and you actually execute the mission, it's literally a sense of clarity that just kind of goes through, at least it went through my mind doing it. It still does. It's like, you shut out everything else that's going on in the world, and that's literally your only thing that you have going on at that time.
Yeah, put in headphones. I mean, stay focused, stay in the zone. You're getting everything ready, checking gear. I mean, I'm sure you're like me. You're not putting it away like haphazardly. It's put away in a specific way so that it's ready to go as soon as you get that next page. That way you're just, all you got to do, put it on. You're going to check it, obviously, but you're not doing anything crazy to it, looking for shit. Like everything is supposed to be where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and I mean, that's how it was, even in the stand getting ready for, a mission as simple as, we're taking a convoy, off the fob and going to get mail at Fob Eddy, what I mean? Which sounds super easy. That's a full day trip to go 3 miles
just
down,
to get the porn
down the wadi, going to get the mail. And it was like, all right, check my gun, put headphones in, I'm listening to music, making sure everything's ready to go.
What was your song of choice? If you had one, well, not one, but I mean, what you went overseas, Afghanistan. Your first time was
2010.
2010.
So, Beyond Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus, which came out like during the workup. Enemy by Drowning Pool.
Okay.
Was probably my go-to. Need to listen to that.
Yeah.
Of course, I did let the bodies hit the floor once in a while, and then when you find out you're just going to be getting blown up and you can't really shoot at too many people, that kind of goes out the window a little bit more.
Yeah.
But, it's the same thing in your that heightened state. Even when I switched to being the driver of the lead vehicle as opposed to the gunner from the lead vehicle, same thing, same preparation that goes into it.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, that it's like that clarity that like literally there's nothing else that matters in the world other than what you have in front of you at that point in time.
And that's exactly how it should be.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, it just like it comes with being point man in everyday life. It gives you that just sense of purpose, and I just think it's hard to find that in normal everyday life. You know what I mean?
Right. And how do you get that same high, that same focus, even in training?
Exactly, you can't. I mean, they try to replicate it. We try as best we can to replicate that, but...
Right. But in the back of your mind, you're like, this is training.
Yeah, exactly. That's always going to be there.
Still can't get into it the same exact way.
I mean, you're going to try with simunitions, and you're going to try with, the opposing force, whatever it is, or whoever it is.
Blank rounds and fake artillery rounds and all that.
Exactly. But I mean, sometimes the opposing force, no matter how good they are, you just know at that time that it's training. It's nothing bad essentially is going to happen to you unless there's some sort of catastrophic malfunction that normally doesn't happen, but it's you just know it's training on what it is. So yeah. So with that being said, we have a few guests already lined up to come on the show. We have. So when I grew up down in southern New Hampshire.
Well, still growing up.
Yeah, exactly. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. So growing up in southern New Hampshire, I was, big into music. It was kind of my family always was. My dad was big into classic rock. He still was big into classic rock. My oldest sister, was still big into rock herself. And so I always listened to WAF growing up, which is a rock radio station that was out of Boston. The signal was bought out earlier this year, and it kind of...
Shout out TOS up here.
Top of Sugarloaf. So the signal was bought out earlier this year, and the funny thing about it was bought out... One of the original rock radio stations, not only in Boston, but in the country, was bought out by a Christian rock radio station, or rock station.
Yeah.
So instead of playing Hell's Bells or Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath, it's now playing probably gospel music.
What's that wicked mainstream Christian rock band?
I think POD was a rock band or a Christian rock band.
Yeah, not the one I'm thinking of.
I could be wrong about that, but
you might be. I have no idea, but I'm trying to think of the one, and of course I'm not going to remember it right here, but it'll come to me.
Yeah. So with that being said, Mistress Carrie, who was on that for 22 years, she's going to be coming on. She's already agreed to go live from what she calls her podcast studio, the War Room. She's already agreed to come on with us. We have a retired Navy SEAL who's going to be coming on with us. My buddy Paolo, who was on Naked and Afraid, season 4, episode 12, I believe it was. He's going to be coming on there. And I'm trying to get another guy who is a Boston police sergeant and who was on Survivor twice and The Amazing Race to come on as well.
Beautiful.
Yep. Anybody?
I actually know a couple of police officers from all around the country. I mean, as you know, it's more of that. It's that easy brotherhood, automatically something in common, and you want to meet as many people as you can and make those connections.
Exactly.
And it's crazy how easy it is to just have those connections and to build a friendship without even meeting those people in person sometimes.
Yeah, just on social media alone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's crazy. So a good friend of mine already follows the podcast. Never met him in person, but he is basically known as the mayor of his town. He works at the local PD. He's the PBA president down there, the Police Benevolent Association. Huge influence around his own place.
Yeah.
He's excited to come on. And from there, I have another friend who runs a Team South Florida podcast. Okay. And he's out of Broward County. Not a Broward County sheriff, but he works in that same county.
Right on.
Yeah. So he's kind of doing the same thing, starting up the same way as you are, of just trying to get people to know the police officers beyond who's just showing up to your house late night for a noise complaint.
Which is funny to say because, as you know, I started the Instagram page. If you don't follow, you can follow it at Pointman Podcast. And I think within 3 days of it being launched, I already had trolls on there commenting and leaving hate messages against the police officers and whatnot. And I really don't care because I'll talk to anybody on any side of the line.
Right.
But I mean, it's like, if you're going to waste your time going on a brand new startup Instagram page, like
they just want to bust your balls and stop you before you start.
Exactly. What else do you have going on in your life? One of them was somebody who was just doing graffiti and taking artwork, which is fine. Some of the graffiti you see is pretty cool. But either way, it's like, come on now. You really have nothing going on in your life to just go on a brand new startup Instagram page.
Some people are just professional trolls.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they live for.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah, man, some people are just professional trolls and will literally just roast you about any single thing that they have and that they find and hate about your content.
Yeah, and the problem is the PC police, I think I always find, maybe it's because I never have the same opinion as the PC police, but like, it's okay for them to hate anything that they want, but you're not allowed to hate, something that they like or anything.
Oh, exactly.
And I don't understand that. Like, you're fine with hating what I, agree with or think about or my way of thinking, but it's not okay for me to do the same thing about you. Like, I'm all about, you want to have your own opinion, fine, have your own opinion, but I get to have my own too.
Yeah, exactly, man.
I disagree with what you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it.
Yeah, and that's what we all signed up for.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it gets, lost amongst a lot of cops and a lot of, not necessarily military, but just a lot of cops. I mean, that's what I've had most of my experience with. That, hey, you guess what? You did sign up to protect everybody's First Amendment.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they get to call you the names and they get to say anything that they want to, and you don't get to say anything back.
I mean sometimes you do. We might make snide remarks in other people's languages. But,
yeah, sure. There's a few of those that come out. You know what I mean? But honestly, you look back to, that's the law enforcement part, but you look back to at least the vets nowadays don't have it as bad as those Vietnam vets who are walking through the airport and they're spit upon and, just a complete nightmare coming home and being rejected by everyone, and I hope that, I think that some of the support for the military is going away. You have the war on terrorism been so long.
And one of the longest wars ever.
20 years of conflict and deployments and stuff. And it is probably draining on everyone at this point. But at least they're still not being spit upon when they're coming home, and there still is that huge support.
Yeah, right on, man. And you know what? There's stuff like this that people do. There's stuff like there's different other charities, other organizations. There's more. I don't want to say awareness because I hate that word awareness because
it's better than woke.
Right? I know it is. It is better than woke. But I guess the reason why I hate it is there's a lot more awareness and not enough people doing.
Right.
So that's kind of just it rings the wrong way with me sometimes.
Well, it circles back. I mean, you just want to pass that good karma on. I don't want to sound too
negative or too positive. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't throw the word karma around a lot. But I think that if you're not trying to live and be a better person and just do something nice for someone once in a while, then that's wrong.
Yeah. I mean, with different outlets like podcasts nowadays, different outlets like different other charities that are going on, there's a lot more awareness. Even with social media, there is a lot more awareness with different other veterans organizations, different other law enforcement organizations, or whatever it is. And this is, that's kind of the reason why I started this, and it's actually, there's going to be other people coming on the podcast. Like there's a group called Blue Help out there. That focuses a lot on law enforcement mental health, which is something that you having been in the field, me being in the field, it's something that I don't think it's brought up enough.
Right.
And there's always that associated stigma that's along with it, but I don't care about that stigma at all. And I want more guys, more women out there. When I say guys, it's an encompassing term. I mean males and females.
Law enforcement as a whole.
Exactly. That a lot more people out there need to have their outlets for mental health and
talk about their experiences.
Exactly.
Don't try and be the tough guy all the time.
Yep. And so, with that being said, that's kind of one of the reasons why I started this, to give other people an outlet for the things that they need to talk about, whether it's relationship-wise, whether it's stuff they deal with at work. So if they dealt with the military, and guess what? We're not going to be just dealing with law enforcement military people. Like I said, we're going to have radio DJs on. We're going to have reality contest people on as well. So we're going to be encompassing a lot of different people with this podcast. And
yeah, the more the merrier.
Exactly. And that's just, you know what? Hey, I'm looking forward to having those people on and just talk to them and get their view on aspect in life and kind of go from there.
If you're interesting, we want to talk to you and get your story.
Yeah, exactly. Well, for that being said, we got to run today. And if you guys like us, you can follow us on Instagram at Pointman Podcast. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play right now. And I think there's more venues you can find us on. Definitely go and like and please subscribe. Guess what? If you want to leave some of that hater comments, bring it on. I like that stuff. It kind of fuels me. Can't wait for my first piece of hater email. I'm going to print it out and frame it right above the doorway over there.
Leave the hate, leave the good.
Exactly. I don't care.
It all goes to the same thing. It's red, and then it's moved on.
If you guys like it, awesome. Subscribe. And for Phil, I am John. See you guys later.